Hello, welcome to our yoga Pilates class. So it's going to be super fun, super sweaty, hopefully be about 45 minutes. I'll try to keep track of time. I have got a playlist that you are welcome to follow along with. It's called it's called Lockdown Yoga Pilates. You can find it through my account on Spotify, which is Jordan Amy -AU, which I think it's easier to find. Hopefully you can see that. So if you want to press pause while you find it, and then we'll press pause on the video, and then we'll press play together on the first song, which is called Floating Sweetness. So let me just make sure it's on the right thing. Let's press play in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, let's go. We're gonna start just in a seated position with a little bit of like a short meditation, a little bit of breath work, just to begin. So find that comfortable position. Closing down your eyes, let's take our hands onto our lap, palms facing up. And just gently allowing any sensations, any sounds from your external world just to fade into the background as you begin to settle into your body and noticing the sensations within your body. As you inhale, can you feel that expansion of your chest, that lengthening of your spine? And then as you exhale, your sit bones just sink into the ground beneath you. Inhale to feel the expansion of your rib cage, the lengthening of your spine. And then exhaling just to soften and let go of any tension you might be holding onto. Continuing to follow your breath. As you exhale, just releasing any tension through your shoulders, your neck, your jaw. Perhaps trying to lengthen and deepen those breaths. Take 3 more deep breaths like this. And then gently let's draw the chin to the chest, blinking the eyes open, lifting your gaze, and then we're going to come into a cross-legged position. So a few options here. Really, you can't put your bum right there. Either having your right leg in front of your left, just make sure they're not on top of each other because that might be a bit uncomfortable. Or you can come into square pose. So our shins are going to be in line with one another and the ankles and the knees stacked. You might have to place a block underneath your knee if it's lifted. So from whatever position feels comfortable for you, let's inhale to find that length through our spine, sending our tailbone back. And then gently begin to melt your heart down towards the ground. Feeling that stretch through your glutes, feeling that openness through your hips, and keep following those breaths. As we exhale, can you find a little bit more depth into that stretch, or just a little bit more softness? Notice where you hold tension. One more deep breath here. And gently begin to walk with your hands, lifting the chest. Let's come over to the other side. So your left leg's going to be in front, or if you want to come into square pose, then left leg on top, making sure those shins are in line, the ankles and knees are stacked. Inhale to feel into that length, and then exhale, begin to walk your heart down towards the ground. Maybe noticing a deeper stretch through your right glute, your left glute, left bum cheek. Really feel into that opening through your hips. And noticing where you hold the tension. Is it through your hips, your glutes, your back? Just exhale, find a little bit more softness. One more breath. And gently walking with the hands to lift the chest. We're going to take our legs out in front of us, finding our way to Navasana, so boat pose. So we're going to sit just behind our sit bones now. You can leave your feet on the floor if you like, otherwise shins are going to be parallel to the ground, reaching those hands towards the heels. Can you feel your belly button drawing in towards your spine, so you've got a nice strong core, and those shoulders are drawing down to our ears? Can you find a little bit more reach with those fingertips? Option to stay here or bringing the hands together. We're going to take them over to one side, drawing down towards the floor, hovering, back to center, over to the other side, back to center. Really feeling your obliques and your transverse abdominis on the side of your waist working here as we draw the arms back to center, the chest back to center. Keeping that strength through our core. So that belly button drawing in towards the spine. Let's continue here for 5, 4, 3, 2. Finishing off your last one. Keep those feet lifted unless you would like to drop them, you're more than welcome. We're going to begin to round through the back, keeping that core control as we slowly roll our way down to the mat, imprinting one vertebrae at a time. Begin to reach those feet out away from the crown of the head. Find your dish pose, pressing your lower back into the ground, drawing that belly button to the spine, turning on your quads, your thigh muscles for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sweep those arms overhead, feel into that length through your entire body. Let's take the knees into our chest. Taking some little rock side to side, some circles, massaging through your lower back. One way to the other. Taking those hands onto our knees. As you exhale, begin to peel your head, neck and shoulders off the floor. Gaze comes into your belly button. As you inhale, reaching those toes away from the fingertips, so finding length through your legs and your arms. With your exhale, begin to sweep those arms back around, coming into that little ball, knees into the chest. Inhale as we find length, reaching fingertips away from toes. Exhale to come back into that little ball. You might like to take your head down to the floor in between as you lengthen out those arms and legs. If we reach our hands and our fingers up towards the sky, it's going to be a little bit softer. And if we choose to reach those legs a little bit close to the ground, it's going to be more engagement for our core. So choosing that variation that works for you. Keeping that belly button drawing into the spine, finding that strength through your core. Let's keep going here for 5, 4, 3, 2, finishing off your last one, and then resting your head down to the ground. A little rock side to side to release. Let's take our hands underneath our bottoms, so fingertips are going to be towards the tailbone in a bit of a V shape here. Taking the legs up to the sky, you can bend your knees or keep your legs straight. As you inhale, begin to lower those legs down towards the ground. And then as we exhale, sweeping those legs back up to the sky. Inhale to lower the legs down to the ground. Exhaling to lift. Keeping your lower back imprinted into your mat here. So your hands are going to help you do that by angling your tailbone up towards the sky. A little bit there. Can you use a nice strong exhale as you lift those legs back up to the sky, and that will help you to engage your core a little bit more. So using that exhale to draw your belly button into the spine, to lift those legs back up to the sky. We're going to continue here for 5 more before we begin to scissor the legs. So one leg at a time in 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs come up to the sky. Keep the right leg there as the left leg comes down to the ground, and then switching sides. Right leg comes down as left leg comes up. Maybe picking up the speed here. Your legs might stay pointing up towards the ceiling. Otherwise, you might like to lower them down to the ground to engage that core a little bit more. We're only here for 5 more seconds, so make it nice and strong for 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees into the chest, take those rocks side to side. Well done. Let's roll our way up to a seated position. Taking the hands in front, find your way to all fours. Those hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And we'll begin to move through our cat-cow. So as you inhale, begin to press your hands into the ground, round through your back, gaze into your chest. Sorry, I think I said inhale, exhale there. And then as you inhale, your belly melts down towards the ground. You lift your gaze, you lift your tailbone. Exhaling to press the ground away, round through your back. Inhale to melt the heart, melt the belly down to the floor for that lengthening through your abdomen, your heart, your throat. Exhaling to press away. Making sure that your breath begins and your movement follows. And let's find a position between these two extremes, so a nice neutral spine here. If you do have a block, then you may grab it, otherwise you don't need it. We might have to bring our knees in slightly inside of your hips here, as we're going to be moving one leg at a time. Taking your block behind the left knee if you have one, and then drawing that left heel in towards your bottom, otherwise you don't need it. Strong through those hands, through those shoulders, that belly button's drawing into the spine. Let's lift our left heel up towards the sky, so coming into a donkey kick. Taking that left knee back down, hovering off the mat, and then opening the knee to the sides, coming into a bit of a clam motion here. Coming back to center, and then pressing that leg up to, or heel up to the sky. Just making sure when the knee comes back down, it's not going beyond the right knee, so it's in line with the right knee rather than into the chest. So moving through those donkey kicks and clams. If you've got the block, giving it a nice squeeze. If not, can you press that heel up to the sky and feel the left glute turning on and squeezing. Keep drawing that belly button into the spine. Keep drawing your lower ribs down to your hips. So notice if your lower back wants to hammock down to the floor and those ribs are flaring open, can we anchor them by drawing them down? You can feel as though you're wrapping your ribs underneath your heart. Let's continue through this exercise before we find our way to that donkey kick, so heel pressing up to the sky in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press that heel up to the sky. Little pulses here. Squeeze your left glute. Feel that burn for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take that knee down, have a little release, maybe a child's pose, that feels good. And then we're going to set ourselves up for the other side. So make sure we're still strong through those hands, those shoulders, nice strong core. Taking the block behind your right knee if you're using it and drawing that heel into the bottom. And then begin to press the heel up towards the sky, taking that knee back down to hover off the floor and opening up to our clam. Knee hovers off the floor and then presses up to the sky, squeezing your right glute, so that right bum cheek. Making sure that right knee doesn't come past the left knee, so we want to find that alignment with the knees before we open to our clam. Just checking in with your alignment. Do you still have that neutral spine? Or is your lower back beginning to hammock a little bit down to the ground? If it is, feel that lift through your belly. Feel that belly button drawing into the spine. Can you feel the sides of the waist drawing in, so activating our transverse abdominis, particularly through that clam as we open the leg to the side. If you really want to feel the sides of your waist working for you. We're going to continue here for 5 more before we take that right heel up to the sky in our donkey kick. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Pressing that heel up to the sky. Let's move into those little pulses, leading with the heel. Squeeze your right bum cheek, squeeze the glutes. For 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing down, move through your child's pose if you like, with some little cat cows. Oh, that's what we're doing next. Doggy. It's called down dog. All right, let's tuck the toes. Send your hips back to your heels and then press the hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. So start with a nice bend through your knees so you can really think about angling your tailbone up to the sky. So instead of rounding through your back, we want to press the chest back to the thighs and reach the tailbone up to the sky. Can you press through your hands, through your fingertips? Can you wrap your armpits around towards your heart so you're stabilizing through those shoulders? You might like to walk your heels up and down, getting that nice stretch through your calves and your hamstrings. Finding stillness, we'll move through a round of our sun salutations. So let's come high on our toes, bend the knees, gaze between your hands, and stepping your way up to the top of your mat. Find your forward fold. With your next inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling to lower. Inhale as we lift all the way up, a gentle bend through the knees, sweeping those arms overhead. Maybe a little chest opening at the top before you exhale, folding your way back to your forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhaling to lower. Stepping back to your plank, you can drop your knees. Maintaining this plank position as you exhale, press the chest down to the floor, elbows into the body. Inhaling to lift to your cobra or your up dog. Exhale to find your way back to down dog, maybe moving through all fours first. Take a few breaths here. Grounding through your left heel, sweep your right leg up to the sky. Come high on your toes. Then let's draw your right knee towards the nose, coming into our tiger curl here. Pressing into those hands. Belly button draws to the spine. Can you lift the knee a little bit higher? For 3, 2, 1. Set the foot between the hands. Land your back knee as you sweep those arms overhead, Anjaneyasana. Draw your tailbone down towards the ground. Finding a little bit more reach through those fingertips. Exhale as we bring the hands back down to frame the front foot. Tucking your back toes. Let's sweep the right leg back, 3-legged dog. Exhale to lower. Inhale as we sweep the left leg up to the sky. Come high on those right toes. Bending the left knee in towards your nose, rounding through your back, and that's a strong core here. Pressing through the hands for 3, 2, 1. Set the foot between the hands. Land the back knee as we sweep those arms overhead, Anjaneyasana. Drawing that tailbone down. You find a little bit more reach through your fingertips. Exhale, landing those hands to frame the front foot, tuck the back toes. Sweep your left leg back, 3-legged dog. Gently land the leg. Downward facing dog. Let's come high on our toes. Bend our knees, gaze between our hands. We're going to jump to sit on the floor here. So your right ankle's coming into your left wrist, left ankle to right wrist. So sending the hips back towards your heels, jumping forward to cross those feet, sit your hips down. Take the legs out in front, Paschimottanasana here. So let's inhale, sweep those arms overhead. Exhaling to forward fold over the legs. Inhaling to lift. Exhale to fold. Inhaling to lift, one more breath. Exhale, fold. Let's lift all the way up and then take those hands back behind the body, fingertips facing forwards. Squeezing through the glutes. Let's press those hips up to the sky. Pressing through the hands. Opening up through the shoulders, the chest. Can you reach those toes down towards the floor? For 3, 2, 1. Sitting the hips back to the ground. Turn to face on your left. We're going to come to a side lying position. So you can have your forearm on the ground, otherwise you might like to lay on the ground if that feels better on your neck. Stacking the legs, you can bend your left knee for support if you like, otherwise the leg is going to be nice and stacked along with the hips. Let's lift that right leg so it's in line with our hips, toes are flexed towards the face. As you exhale, begin to draw that leg towards your face. Point your toes as you sweep that leg back behind you. It can come in line with the hip or it can press back behind the body as long as the top hip doesn't fall and lose alignment. Let's flex those toes as we take the leg towards the chest. Point the toes as we sweep that leg back behind us. Exhale as we sweep the leg towards the chest. Inhale as we open up through the front body. Exhale as we take that leg forwards. Inhale to open up. Just moving in your own time with the flow of your breath. So you might like to place your right hand on your hip just to get that feedback and noticing if your hips are twisting and swaying. We want to make sure they stay stacked. Otherwise you can take your hand in front of you for support. Can you feel the lift through the left side of your waist? So we're not allowing it to collapse onto the floor. We've got that lift and that engagement of the side of our waist, of our transverse abdominis. That belly button's drawing into the spine so our core is nice and strong. Continuing here, and then we're going to take our leg and just holding it at hip height in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Taking that leg so it's in line with the hip. Little pulses here, up and down, or you can just choose to keep the leg stable and static. Continuing here, feeling the sides of the booty really working, that little TFL muscle on the side of the hip. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's take that right knee in towards the chest. Maybe give the glute a little tap to release. Let's bend through the knees in towards the chest here. Making sure we've got that lift through the waist still. Our hips are nice and stacked, legs are stacked. From here, opening up your right knee towards the sky, lowering that knee back down. Lifting and lowering. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Option here to lift the feet off the ground. So the outside of the left thigh is going to be in contact with the mat. So really working into our deep external rotator muscles now underneath those big glute muscles that do most of the work. So you should feel the glutes, your bum firing up pretty quickly. Keep it going. Keeping that lifted left side of your waist. Keeping that engagement through your core. Embrace that burn. We've got 5 more here before we lift that right knee open and hold. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Open that knee. Little pulses here up and down. Otherwise you can just hold it open for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. Drop that left foot if it's lifted. Keep the right knee where it is. Let's straighten through the knee and then bend through the knee, drawing that heel to the bottom. Straighten through the knee, heel to the bottom. Notice if the knee's beginning to drop, can you angle it so it faces the corner of the room where the ceiling meets the wall? So that will fire up those external rotator muscles behind our glutes. Can you feel it here? Keep it going, you're doing well. Let's continue. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen out those legs, reach for those toes, and then take the right knee into the chest. Amazing work. It might feel nice for you to place the right foot on the floor, just in front of the left knee, and then push the knee away from you, stretching out those muscles. Let's roll our way onto our backs, knees into the chest, coming into another round of those double straight leg stretches. So as you exhale, curl through your upper back, so peeling head, neck, shoulders off the floor, that belly button draws to the spine. As you inhale, send the fingertips away from the toes, find length through your legs. Exhale to sweep those arms around, coming back into that little ball. Inhale, find length, reach for those fingertips. Exhale, come back into that little ball. If the legs are coming up to the sky, it's going to be a little bit softer for you. If those legs come down towards the ground, it's going to be more intense for your core. So choose what feels good for you today. Can you keep your lower back pressing into the ground? Continuing for 5, 4, 3, 2. Finish off your last one. And release the head down to the floor. Take some little rock side to side. Amazing work. Let's roll our way out to a seated position. Taking those hands in front, find your way to all fours. Move through cat-cow if you need to, otherwise pressing straight back to your down dog. Finding that rotation through your tailbone. A few breaths here. And let's come high on the toes, bending through those knees, gaze between those hands. We're going to sit the bottom down to the floor again, so crossing the feet over. So send the hips to the heels, jump your way forward to land those ankles crossed, take the leg out in front. One breath here of inhale to sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale to fold your way forwards. Inhale to lift. Let's take those hands back behind the body, fingertips face towards the toes. Point your toes, turn on your bottom as you press those hips up to the sky. Open through the chest, open through your shoulders. Can you squeeze your glutes a little bit more? Reach your toes towards the ground. Pressing through those hands for 3, 2, 1. Let the hips to the floor, and then we'll turn to face on our right side, coming to that side lying position. So legs are out nice and long and stacking. You can be on your forearm or you can lie down. You might have to bend your right knee just to stabilize you a little bit here. Let's lift our left leg so it's in line with the hip, flexing those toes. Inhale to take the leg towards the chest. Point your toes. Exhale to sweep, inhale to open, sweeping that leg behind you. Exhale as we take those toes towards the chest. Point your toes. Sweep that leg back behind you. Exhale as the leg comes forwards. Inhale as we send that leg back. Checking that your hips are stacked and that you're not swaying them side to side, particularly when you take that leg back behind you. You might like to place your left hand on your hip and just notice that feedback. Are your hips swaying a little bit? Can you find a little bit more engagement through your core? Maybe it means bending your right knee. Can you lift through the right side of your waist, feeling the side of your waist activating? It doesn't have to be a huge movement here. It might be quite small, maybe only a few inches forward and a few inches back. Continuing here for 5 more before we take that leg in line with the hip. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Sweep that leg back in line with the hip. Let's flex the toes, holding all those little pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the knee into the chest. Maybe give the glute a little tap. Well done. Let's bend through both knees, stacking the legs, stacking the knees. We can place the left hand on the floor or on our hip. You can choose what feels more comfortable for you. And then opening that left knee up to the sky and lowering it back down. Lifting and lowering. Maybe lifting your feet off the ground as well. So we've just got the outside of the right thigh on the floor. Continuing with those clams. Notice if your left hip wants to tip backwards. Can you try and keep them nice and stable? Trying to keep that space between your left hip and your left shoulder, so we're almost reaching the left hip away from you. Keep going. We've got 5 more here before we lift and hold that leg open. Yes. In 3, 2, 1, opening that top knee, holding all those little pulses, lifting the knee up towards the sky. Go girl, out. 3, 2, 1, hold the knee open. Rest your right leg on the floor if it is open, and then we're going to straighten through the left knee, bend through the left knee. Straight through the left knee, bend through the left knee. Notice if that knee is falling down to the floor, can you lift it up so it points towards the corner where the ceiling meets the wall. Continue here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach through those toes and then gently release. Take that knee towards the chest. Well done. Roll your weight onto your back. Take the knees into the chest to have a little release. Now let's straighten the right leg up to the sky. You can take the left leg nice and long on the floor or keep the bend through the knee. Flexing and pointing through those right toes. Get a nice stretch through your calf. Let's switch sides. Left leg comes up to the sky, right leg's nice and long. Flexing and pointing through your toes. Feel that nice stretch. Now with those hands behind the left leg, as we exhale, let's peel our head, neck and shoulders off the ground, gaze into the belly, lower back presses into the mat. Let's hover our right toes off the ground, our right leg off the ground. And with the next exhale, switching legs, so scissoring those legs. Exhale to change legs. Exhaling to change. Exhale to change. Keep drawing your belly button in towards your spine. Nice strong core here. Your lower back stays imprinted to the ground. If you need to rest your head on the floor, you can do so. Otherwise, can you curl up a little bit more through your upper back? Maybe those shoulder blades lift off the ground. Continuing here. Really finding that reach through the legs for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release down to the mat. Good work. If you have a block, take your block. If you don't, that's fine. Come into tabletop. Let's take the block behind the right knee, squeezing that heel in towards the bottom. Otherwise, just keep the right leg in tabletop. Hands behind the head. As you exhale, peel head, neck and shoulders off the floor again. That gaze comes into the belly. Lengthen out through your left leg. And then we're going to begin to lift and lower through the left leg. Pointing the toes. Can you turn on your left thigh muscles, so your quads, and feel that lift through the knees, that we've got length through our leg. If the block is behind the right knee, can you squeeze your right heel into your bottom? That gaze keeps drawing into the belly. That belly keeps drawing into the spine. If you need to rest your head, you can. Otherwise, using your hands to support the weight of your head. Can you find a little bit more lift through your upper back? That gaze draws into the belly. Maybe the shoulder blades lift off the mat. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Have a little rock side to side. And then we'll change sides. So your left heel's drawing into your bottom with that lock, or you can just keep the leg in tabletop. Hands behind the head. Exhale as you peel your head, neck and shoulders off the floor, reaching out through those right toes, turning on right quads, and begin to lift and lower your right leg. Have you still got that nice strong engagement through your core? Can you squeeze the left heel into your bottom if you're using the block? Otherwise, keep your left leg nice and strong. Notice if it wants to sway or if it wants to move in towards the chest. Can you press it out so it stacks over the hip a little bit more? If you need to rest your head, you can do so. Otherwise, can you curl up a little bit higher through your upper back? Can you draw that belly button a little bit deeper towards your spine? Let's continue here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees into the chest, have a little release, have a little rock side to side. How am I going for time? Let's roll our way up to a seated position. Again, coming back through all fours. Move through cat-cow if you need. And we'll find our way back to downward facing dog. Let's ground to the left heel, sticking that right leg up to the sky. Exhaling knee to nose, rounding through your back, placing the foot between the hands. Send the heart forwards, press those hips forwards. Let's step the right hand in front of the right foot, maybe holding onto your block. And then begin to transfer your weight into your right foot. Begin to hover your left toes off the ground. They might not come high, they might even stay on the ground. If it's comfortable for you, begin to peel your left shoulder open. Your left hand might come to your hip or maybe up to the sky for a half moon pose. So really try to open up through your left hip so it's facing forwards. Those toes are flexed and pointing forwards. We're trying to stack our wrists, our shoulders, find that length through the arms. Option here to bend the heel, your left heel, reaching back to grab the foot and pressing that foot into your hand. If you are holding your foot, let's lengthen it back out. Begin to tip the chest forwards. We're going to find our way to our warrior 3. So you might want to take the hands to the ground and just find that stability through your body. Our hips are nice and balanced, the left hip might lower. And then bringing hands to heart if that's comfortable for you. Let's flex those toes down towards the ground. Draw your ribs towards your hips. Pressing through your left heel, reach it towards the back wall. And then from here, let's begin to lift the chest. Take that left knee with you if you can, trying to keep your balance super hard during carpet. And then we'll cross the left ankle over the right knee, find our half chair pose. So make sure it's the ankle and not the calf that's on the knee, otherwise it's going to be hard to balance. Take a nice bend through your right knee and feel that stretch through your glutes. You might like to begin to tip the chest forwards, bringing your hands to the ground or to your block, your pillow. So finding a nice bend through your right knee, you'll feel the opening through the left hip. But you might like to straighten out through your right leg as well and feel that stretch through your hamstrings. An option to come into your toe stand here, just bending through your right knee and sink the hips back to the heels. Maybe taking your hands off the ground. You have an arm balance in your practice, you're more than welcome to come into one of those. Three more breaths in whatever shape you're in. Let's bring our hands to our heart. Slowly begin to lift the chest. Try to keep the left leg where it is. Let's draw the knee to the chest and gently release, walking out through those knees. Moving through a round of our sun sails, coming to the top of the mat. Inhale as we sweep those arms overhead, maybe a little chest opening at the top before we exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to lock. Stepping back to your plank. Take your weight over the hands and exhale as you press the chest down to the floor. Inhale to the cobra or up dog. Exhale to find your way back to your downward facing dog. Grounding through right heel as you sweep that left leg up to the sky. Coming high on the toes. Exhale as you round the knee to the nose. Place your foot between your hand. Let's press those hips forward, send the heart forwards, find a nice lunge. And then taking your left hand just in front of the left foot, maybe onto your block or the floor. Transfer your weight into your left foot and begin to hover right toes off the ground. You might stay with the leg quite low, or you might like to lift the foot so it's in line with your hip. And then begin to peel your right shoulder open. Your right hand might come to your hip or fingertips up to the sky. Really opening through your right hip, sending your right toes to the wall in front of you. An option to take the heel towards the bottom and then grab the foot. Let's extend back to the right leg, taking both hands to the floor and just setting up for your warrior three here. So make sure you're pressing through your right heel. You've anchored those ribs down towards your hips. You've got a nice strong core. If you feel balanced, maybe bringing your hands to your heart center, drawing those shoulders down from your ears. You perhaps lower your right hip slightly so the hips are aligned with one another. Reaching the crown of the head. And let's begin to lift the chest, taking our right knee with us. Crossing that foot over the knee, find half chair pose. So you can stay here getting that nice stretch through the glutes, or maybe begin to tip the chest forwards. Maybe straightening through your left leg and get that stretch into your hamstrings. An option to come into toe stand, to sink your hips down towards your heel. And then maybe lifting the hands off the ground, testing your balance. Three more breaths in whatever shape you are in. And slowly begin to take your hands to heart center and lift your chest. Let's take that knee with us and slowly place it back on the floor. Come to the front of your mat. Sweep those arms overhead. Exhale, fold your way forwards. Taking a few breaths in your forward fold. Maybe transferring that weight in towards the balls of your feet, feeling your hamstrings switch on. You may like to take hold of your opposite elbows and really feel the weight of your body. That complete release through your neck and your arms. Down dog in again. And then gently begin to bend through your knees, sink your hips down towards the ground, and we'll slowly roll our way down to the floor. Take any last stretches that feel good for you, maybe a happy baby. And we'll slowly make our way to Shavasana. Just letting those ankles and legs roll out from the hips. Arms beside the body, palms facing up. As you inhale, can you feel that expansion of your rib cage, that lengthening of your spine? And exhaling, your body melts into the earth beneath you. Noticing how you may feel different to the beginning of your practice. Do you feel a little bit more connected to your breath? Maybe those gaps between your thoughts are a little bit longer. And you have that power to choose which thoughts align with your best self. I'll leave you here in your Shavasana today. Let's close with 3 deep cleansing breaths. You might like to take your left hand to your heart and your right hand to your belly. And with that exhale, just let go of anything that no longer serves you, any tension through the body, through the mind. Take a deep breath in. Inhale to let go. Take a deep breath in. Inhaling to surrender. One more breath. Namaste.